This anime begins with our protagonist named Shin, who has taken it upon himself to save the players in this game world who are too weak to fight for themselves. In order to end the hellish life or death game, Shin continues fighting for months after months and reveals that he has even created his own guild with many loyal team members. He fights against many monsters with ease and even kills the last boss of the game, hoping that the developer would finally release everyone now that the game is over. However, as he keeps striking the monster down to its last health point, it keeps regenerating its health over and over, as if it were coded specifically not to die. But with great determination, the overpowered gamer slays the final boss once and for all, causing the entire area to be illuminated by a flash of blinding light. At that moment, the system notifies Shin that he has defeated the gatekeeper of the new gate game and awards him with many titles like Liberator and Achiever, announcing that players can now log out. Before leaving, Shin checks if everyone else has managed to log out of the game, and as he sees that all of the players except for him have left the game safely, he opens his own system menu to finally log out. However, the system doesn't let him log out and instead opens a new gig for him, sending him to yet another game world. Shin doesn't understand where he is and assumes that he is in the outside world as everything around him looks too realistic, which shouldn't be possible with the current VR technology. But as he finds out that he can still open up his system menu, he realizes that he is still in fact in the game world. From the system he learns that he has become even more overpowered because of beating the final boss of the game, but those stats shouldn't matter since the game is now over, so Shin once again tries to log out, only to discover that the logout button itself has been removed. He becomes confused, not understanding what is going on, so he opens his network menu to ask other players for guidance, only to find out that there are no players on his network. After being unable to get any answers, Shin decides to figure things out himself and sets out to locate his preset home in this world, following the coordinates on his way there. He finds many castle walls to be built around the area, making him wonder when this sudden development took place. Eventually he reaches his house, which still looks the same when he finds an elf woman being teased by 3 players. A third-party monster intervenes in the player's funny business and attacks the elf girl, so Shin intervenes and eliminates the monster, instantly saving the elf girl's life. Afterward, the elf girl introduces herself as Tiara Lucent, asking Shin if he is acquainted with her master, who owns this place. Shin doesn't understand the part where Tiara mentions that someone else owns his house, so he asks her about it, and in response she clarifies that Schnee Razor, a silver-haired elf, is the current owner of this place. Shin, who recognizes Schnee as one of his supporting characters and wonders what's going on. He asks Tiara about Schnee's current whereabouts, but she refuses to tell him anything as she doesn't trust him. Even though he saved her life just now, she only agrees to take a message for her master and asks Shin to give her 1,000 coins for that. However, Shin claims to have only gold coins, and as he shows the coin to Tiara, she becomes surprised seeing the Shin just made the coin appear from nowhere, making her realize that he must be someone strong as he has an other-dimensional item box. Furthermore, his gold coin is apparently worth 10 billion coins now, so that makes her wonder who this mysterious man is. Shin explains that he is a high human, but learns from Tiara that all 6 high humans went extinct around almost 500 years ago during an event called the Dusk of Prosperity. Apparently, the Dusk of Prosperity was a historical event when not only high humans but many people suddenly vanished from this world, making Shin realize that it must be the time when all of the players logged out of the game. And that means that Shin is now 500 years into the future, which also makes him realize why Schnee is the current owner of his house now. In any case, he thanks Tiara for the valuable information and happily gives one of his gold coins to her. Tiara refuses to take it, as that single gold coin is priceless in the current world and shouldn't be just handed to random people, but Shin keeps insisting on giving it to her, so she finally takes it without any hesitation. Shin then asks Tiara if she can use magic, since she is an elf, which surprises Tiara, as she reveals that her master has put an illusion spell on her, so that people cannot see that she is an elf. It's because in the current era, elves with dark hair are considered to be cursed, who only bring misfortune to the people around them. Because of this rumor or fact, Tiara was kicked out of her village, which was when her master Schnee took her in. Tiara normally stays inside this house, which is protected by a barrier that also helps conceal Tiara's race and identity, which has led her life safely here for about 100 years. Shin realizes that the curse is real because when Tiara stepped out of the house earlier, monsters started to appear out of nowhere. He decides to help Tiara remove her curse because why the heck not, and comes up with a solution quite quickly. First, he opens the skill menu and finds out that Tiara's curse is actually an attainable skill called Cursed Gift, which is responsible for monsters attacking her constantly. Shin claims that he has figured out a way to remove Tiara's curse and uses his Purify spell on her, which works fine, but still surprises Shin as only a partial amount of Tiara's hair has changed to its original silver color. He apologizes for making her look ugly, but she expresses how overjoyed she is to see her cursed blue hair turning back to its original color. She also finds it hard to believe that her 100-year-old curse was lifted just like that, leading her to believe that Shin is a very strong and wise man. She excitedly steps out of the barrier for the very first time with Shin to experience the outside world freely and walks around in the nearby forest with him until they reach the open green meadows. After finally getting back her long-lost freedom after a century, Tiara gets tears in her eyes and thanks Shin for allowing her to once again witness how wide and infinite the blue skies are. They return home shortly after, where Shin learns that Shni won't be coming back soon, so he decides to check out the nearby town instead for the time being, as he needs to learn more about the current world. Assuming that other support characters like Shni are still alive in this world, Shin decides to look for them as well. Tiara gives Shin a letter of introduction as a parting gift, telling him that this letter will allow him to enter the kingdom, and thanking him once again for saving her life twice. As he takes his leave and gets to skip the line at the kingdom's gate, thanks to the letter of introduction, he learns from a fellow passerby that the letter can also get him an audience with the king himself, so he becomes grateful to Tiara for giving him such a valuable gift. He heads to the kingdom's adventurer guild to gather information and first registers himself as an adventurer. The guild receptionist Celica gives him a form to fill out and then informs him that it will take almost an entire day to create his guild card. So in the meantime, Shin goes to a local pub wondering what he should do, where he finds Celica again, who works as a part-time waitress. Celica offers him a steak on the house and happily stares at him while he eats it, making him wonder if she is a complete weirdo. Celica explains that she just happened to learn that Shin has a letter of introduction with him and wishes to verify its authenticity. Even the guild master comes there to verify it and introduces himself as Barlax. Barlax cuts to the chase and quickly verifies Shin's letter by placing his one beside it. He tells Shin that this letter will allow him to enter most nations without having an inspection, and in some nations it can even grant him an audience with the king. It's an extremely powerful item, which is why many people try to steal it as well. Shin realizes that the guildmaster is worried for him because the letter will attract unwanted attention, so he assures the guildmaster that he will be fine on his own, being confident about his current strengths and capabilities, but the guildmaster doesn't allow himself to trust Shin's words and decides to test his skills first. After showing how good he is, Shin goes back to his hotel room to have a good night's sleep. The next morning, he becomes upset again upon realizing that he won't be able to return to his home world, but he accepts it as a fact and moves on. He heads to the Adventurers Guild again to collect his guild card. There he meets Celica, the guild receptionist, who happily gives him his guild card, putting him at rank G. When are these dumb anime going to appreciate that the MC is overpowered? But whatever, Shin takes a quest quickly for him, which is to harvest some tall grasses, and heads off to the forest to initiate his quest. After looking for around 3 hours, he fails to find a single hilt of grass, which is when he finds a monster roaming nearby. That monster is no ordinary beast, but a legendary boss monster named Skullface Jack, whom Shin has once faced. Shin sees that the Skullface Jack has attacked some merchants around here and has wrecked their carriage, so he decides to get rid of the monster before it can cause more trouble to innocent people because Shin is starting this journey from scratch again. He uses his beginner equipment to fight against this monster and attacks it from many angles. However, the beginner equipment doesn't work too well, so Shin turns off his skill limiter and attacks the monster using his full power, disarming its weapon and sending it flying away. At the same time, he also destroys the monster's magic core, eliminating it in an instant. The monster's corpse drops a gemstone as a loot reward, so Shin happily takes it, wondering whether it will be boring being this overpowered in this game world. In the meantime, the weapon that was disarmed by the monster crashes into the royal palace of the king, causing the royal knights to wonder how the sword reached them. And with that, we have come to the end of this part. Stay tuned for next part. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive all the latest updates.